why don't you take us back to the beginning of sort of where your journey started and how you thought of the idea. And we talk about, I host a 3 to 5 club, and we talk about the stages of business, right? Stage 1, you got a dream and you're sharing it with your buddies and your family. Stage 2, you're sort of burning through cash and everything's horrible. Stage 3, maybe you're breaking even, but you're not able to pay yourself. Stage 4, you're making a lot of money, right? But it's horrible because you're slave to the business. Stage 5, you finally start to get some freedom, and 6 and 7, and you're 7, you're into Richard Branson territory, right? So, why don't you start us out at your stage 1? Like, where did the idea generate from, and what kind of steps did you take to get the business going?
Yeah, so my journey isn't really the typical fintech CEO journey. For me, I think I took a zigzag to get here, for my journey to really make sense, you really have to go back to the beginning, all the way to the beginning. I was born in Iran, and I came to Canada when I was 14 years old. With my dad came 2 years before we came in, and then sponsored us. So we came to Canada in when I was 14 years old. Didn't speak a single word of English. I had to spend like 3-4 years really just like learning the language as much as possible, and really understand the ways of how everything works. But if you're talking about just like, so a lot of the decisions I make, a lot of, I guess the drive that I have comes from that origin of immigrating to a new country with not any families or friend other than just like my immediate parents, and really just trying to build something in a new country. But if you're talking about my entrepreneurial journey, it really starts when I was at Bank of Montreal. I was in personal and commercial banking, and that's where I was really exposed to the whole world of small businesses, world of payments, how small businesses manage their payables and receivables, and I really like that aspect of working at the bank, but I just did not like working at the bank at all. It was just so bureaucratic, and there's so many layers to everything, and every decision took months and months and months, and everything needed 15 approvals.
That's a big ship.
So during that time, a good friend of mine, Sergey, we had another partner as well. We started building these video games, and this is this is around 2005, 2006, and we really loved gaming, and we were always gamers. So we started building these games, because games went from being a physical product, because like back into early 2000, if you wanted to buy a game, you had to actually purchase the disc.
I actually just unpacked my PlayStation 2 in hopes of rekindling some old school gaming with my son, right? Or I still have the old Nintendo with the cartridges. And,
Totally. Yeah, I mean, and that's what I grew up on, right? Like I even had the Atari, and then the NES and Sega and all of that. But there was a period where it shifted, and games went from physical to digital distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, the cost of building games significantly was reduced. Games went from being something that only like Electronic Arts or Take-Two or Activision could build, to something that anybody could build and digitally distribute. So we started making these games, these adventure games, and one of them just took off like crazy and made close to $1.2 million in 3 months.
Whoa!
And
Are
when
you
that
allowed to
happened,
tell us what it was called? Can I go look it up?
Yeah. It's there's a website called Big Fish Games, which is like what our publisher. Big Fish Games was the biggest publisher during that time.
Okay.
And the franchise was called Midnight Mysteries.
All right.
And it's basically what's called a hidden object game, which is kind of like, where's Waldo? You got to find Waldo, but then there's a story behind it. So it's like a bit of an adventure and a bit of hidden object game.
Cool.
And that game just like really took off, and made a decent amount of money from just like 3 kids like just testing things out. And when that happened, like we realized we had an opportunity there to start our own business. So we actually all quit our jobs. We went from having a side hustle to this is our life. This is what we're doing, and that's really my entrepreneurship journey started because I just really wanted to, I thought banking was the thing that I wanted to do, but in reality, what I really was passionate about is building a company, solving a problem, and then combining it with an interest that I had in gaming, and that was the first thing that we did.
So sorry, you made 1.2 million in this game, and this is while you had a job.
Yeah.
But the new markets had opened up, so you obviously figured out coding and how to talk, how to deal with programming languages and figure out where to go on the internet, which was probably not very many places at the time. But you didn't even know how to look for it. I wouldn't have even known how to look for a distribution site on the web. How old were you when you did all this?
So I was 25 when that happened.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I am giving you the summary version, but the reality is like, we pitched the game to 19 publishers and they all said no. Only one of them said yes, and they distributed the game. So it is something that it requires a lot of trial and error, and I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs, I guess, miss is that they always think that I'm going to just start a business and everyone's going to love this idea. Whereas the reality is that it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of no's. And what I was also lucky is that I had a partner who really supplemented the skills that I had. So, I mean, I personally couldn't code. I did all the business. I did all the negotiations and everything. But he was the engineering genius. Sergey, who's my co-founder in Plooto as well, is basically did all the coding himself. Would just like put all-nighters for like 2 to 3 days straight and just like code everything.
So you guys are like the Steves, right? You like the Steves, right? Jobs and Wozniak. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, no, that's really how it started, and we didn't know anything about building a business, and we couldn't afford to like pay a lot of people because you think 1.2 million is a lot, but once you have to pay rent and you have to pay for equipment and you have to pay for taxes, there's not much left. Plus 3 salaries immediately for the founders, there's not much left. But we were lucky enough to be able to like continue to push down that path, and we built that company for 4 years, and then we got acquired in 2015 is when we got acquired.
And you were able to step away from the business at that point, or did you have it in your contract where you're going to carry on, or did you start Plooto right away?
No, we had to spend a year with a parent company because I mean, when you get acquired, it's golden handcuffs, I guess is the term that is used. So you have to spend a year with a parent company, and the parent
ensure
company
a good knowledge transfer and
exactly. And the parent company was very similar. They were like a bigger publisher based out of, they had a couple of locations, Israel, Spain. They were a TSX listed gaming company, when they acquired us, we really liked their strategy in terms of where they wanted to go, but they really wanted to push into more like gambling, gaming, and slot machines and things like that. And I didn't personally have a passion for that. So as my contract was ending, Sergey and I started to think about what is it that we should do next. And where can we transfer all of our knowledge, and where can we transfer everything that we've learned. And one of the biggest pain points we had when we were running Vast Studios is that we had all these different developers, contractors around the world. And as the business guy, it was my job to go and pay everyone, have to go to the bank and stand in line and send wire transfers and then spend my weekends with the bookkeeper trying to figure out how much cash we have left in the bank account. And that just like literally would take a day and a half of my week, just trying to reconcile everything. And when we talk to other entrepreneurs, they all said that they had the same problem, that, yeah, absolutely, this is, a big pain for me. And there wasn't really a solution out there. When I was at the bank, we had this treasury management solution
Yeah.
for our larger customers, very large enterprise, but it was not built for small businesses. So what we decided to do is to build a solution, and that's how Plooto came out. A lot of time, people also ask me, where does the name Plooto comes from?
Yeah. I
And
want to know that. Yeah.
and Plooto really is a play on Plutus, which is god of wealth,
Okay.
and god of money, and the word loot in the middle is a reference to our gaming days, because when you get a loot pack in a
Yeah.
game, it's like money, right? Like, or rewards or health pack. So it's a reference to our old company, and as well as where we're going next.
Oh, yeah, nice. Here, I forgot to. This is probably a good segue for me to show you. I'm in full support, by the way, here. So there we go. There's my Plooto
Love
shirt.
Love it. I love
There
it.
we go. So now we're aligned. I think I picked
Exactly.
this one up in New Orleans
That's
earlier
awesome.
this year. Yeah. So I love all the swag.
Appreciate the
So what?
support.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the platform for a lot of reasons. We use it at Achen Henderson, and and we have several of our guru customers use it to manage their payroll. But before we get into the journey with Plooto, why don't you tell us a little bit, in your words, sort of, about the platform and how it can help small businesses? You've already told us the history on where it came from and what it's born out of, a common complaint about dealing with banking and just how much time you're spending on it.
Yeah. Really, in order to really understand the problem that we're trying to solve and why we're trying to solve this problem, you really have to look at the entrepreneur's journey, right?
Yeah.
We all have, you mentioned Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak and all the entrepreneurs we know, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Richard Branson. These are all like the superheroes of the
Absolutely.
the Avengers of the startup world.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is that they are literally the superheroes, right?
Yeah.
They're the outliers. They're not the average business owner. They're not the average small business owner. In fact, 70% of businesses, small businesses, disappear within 10 years. The rate of failure for small businesses is extremely, extremely high. And when you look at the statistics on why small businesses fail, the number one reason businesses fail is due to poor management of finances and cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely the reason that most of them fail.
Let's wrap on that for a second. I
Sure.
preach the same thing with our guru product. We're here to help entrepreneurs and business leaders build great companies, and we do that by commandeering their bookkeeping and using tools like Plooto to make their lives easier. It is absolutely astounding how many entrepreneurs that we meet who don't prioritize this stuff. And, success is very predictable. The fundamentals are the fundamentals, and cash management and good accounting controls are one of the fundamentals. But there seems to be this disconnect with entrepreneurs en masse, I would say. And I'm playing the averages here. Obviously, the entrepreneurs who are very successful have a good, tight handle on their finances. But why do you think that there's such a disconnect? Is it because there's a lack of education, or it's hard, or what do you think causes that disconnect? Because you're absolutely right.
It's a really great question, and really, I think you hit it on the head when you said that the fundamentals are the fundamentals. Because the reality is that the rules of success are not unknown, right? It's not a secret society that like finds these rules and then they say, hey, you're going to be successful, Steve Jobs. It's not, right? The reality is that the rules are very similar. What you need to do is that it's kind of like working out. Like I lost 30 pounds a couple of years ago, and everybody came to me and they're like,
yeah.
how did you lose 30? Like, what's your secret, Hamed? And I'm like, I ate less and I worked out every day. Like, there's no there's no secret.
You need to be in a
right?
calorie deficit to lose weight. Period. It's not hard. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it
So
is hard though. Yeah.
but that discipline is really hard. And when it comes to starting and running a business, most entrepreneurs don't really understand the fundamentals. What they really start a business is because they fall in love with the problem and the solution. They really want to help other people or their community or customers. They really doing cash management isn't why anybody starts a business.
Okay. Now
You
we're
know what
getting to
I'm
the meat
saying?
of it. Yeah.
And the outcome, even though it's absolutely crucial to the survival of your business, it's not why entrepreneurs start businesses.
No. Yeah.
And I think that is and I totally get it, right? Like me going through the experience of having to pay our vendors, having to go to the bank and wait in line to send a wire transfer because you can't send an online wire transfer for very small businesses, right? Or you have to manage your books and none of this data is connected automatically, so you have to spend hours and hours as a small business trying to like wrangle all this data to
Sure.
see where you are. These are just not fun, and this
When
is
you
not
could be
why you
making
started.
chairs or pies or serving your community or doing the things that you love, this is a total waste of time
Absolutely,
in the eyes
absolutely.
of, yeah. Okay.
In the eyes of the entrepreneur,
Sure.
absolutely. And also there's no like, there's no satisfaction that comes from having
Reconciling your
clean
bank.
books,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just work that needs to get done. It's just so you can do what you really love doing. And when we realized that, I think the big realization for us was like, well, why don't everybody hates doing this work, right? Just like balancing your books and reconciling and closing your books and paying everybody and asking people to pay you. Everybody hates these things, and they're just low value add tasks, right? It's like
Yeah.
sending emails. You can send 1,000 emails a day and achieve nothing. So
Yeah.
why don't we use technology to automate and streamline this so entrepreneurs and their financial advisors can focus on high value add projects and initiatives, and entrepreneurs can really focus on what they do best, which is to sell their idea, to sell their vision, to serve the customer and try to solve the problem that they're really obsessed about. So what our, bringing it back to why we started Plooto is because the number one reason businesses fail is due to poor management of finances and cash flow. And we believe that by using technology, we can streamline and automate that process to give a better chance to entrepreneurs to survive. So really, we want to live in a world where more SMBs exist and more SMBs thrive and grow.
Yeah.
And we believe that solving the biggest pain point that they have in their lives daily can lead to a better world like that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think there's two kind of separate things here. There's the mechanics of doing the thing, reconciling the bank, paying the bills. And for us, Plooto is wonderful. Whatever mechanics go into generating the bills, we go into the platform, we click collect, and off it goes. We used it that way initially. Now we use it to pay almost everybody. I think we've still got one vendor who insists on receiving a check, and they're so valuable to us that we deal with it. But aside from that, and so that's the mechanical process.
Plooto does allow you to send out checks, by the way. It's just so you're
Holy
not aware.
Christmas.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna tell George about that.
Yeah, just select the check option, and you can send an automatic check.
Perfect. Oh wow, that's great. Okay, well there's the highlight. Podcast complete. We're done. I think I think the second piece is understanding what it is that your business is trying to tell you. And so you really, investing in, and so if you go back to the average entrepreneur, they're a craftsperson. They do a thing really well, and they decided that because they do that thing really well, they're going to go into business doing that thing. And you go, well, that's great, but now you've got another thing. You've got business. and business is business, and the fundamentals are the fundamentals, and success is very predictable. But just because you've got a rock star pie recipe and you're good at making pies, that doesn't mean you're going to be good at business. And all these little mechanical tasks get in the way of you building chairs or making pies, and they're annoying. And so the world, the internet has brought us, ever since your experience with gaming, when we switched from cartridges and DVDs to online gaming, or downloading things online anyways, the world is set up now for entrepreneurs to really take that first part out of it and just go, all the mechanical tasks, we're going to make this really easy for you. And I think Plooto really scratches that itch, right? Because payments become easy and collections can become easy. And in fact, when we started out with Plooto at Achen Henderson, we rethought our revenue model, and it was in the spirit of recurring revenue. And that's when we first jumped on Plooto. Is we went, okay, I want a set it and forget it solution where I'm not dealing with billing and revenue collections. I don't want AR anymore. We're going on PAD, and you're paying us monthly. And that's just how it's got to be, because that's a thing, that's a mechanical thing that's getting in the way of us succeeding in doing being the craftspeople, right?
Totally.
Yeah. So, I think that there's two really different things. And the first thing you're really doing great at by solving those mechanical things. And then, it's neat to see folks like you jump on podcasts and talk about your journey and an entrepreneur's journey to sort of solve the second piece, which is understanding why it's so important, right? Because reading financial statements is not easy. But when you boil it down to it, most entrepreneurs in their business need to know like 2 or 3 numbers to be successful, and just track those 2 or 3 numbers, right? And all the rest can be handled by somebody else. But when you're starting out, you wear all the hats. You're the finance, you're the marketing. And so plugging into, and you go, well, wait a minute, it's $25 a month. That's not, and a lot of people do that debate. I think when you had your Series A, you inserted a monthly fee. I think that was with your Series A. And we even went, whoa, what's this $25 a month? But you step back and think about it, and it's like, okay, if I save 10 minutes standing in line in a bank per month, that's worth it for me.
For sure. I mean, I went to Chipotle the other day for lunch. It cost $19, right? For a bowl, right, of salad and a little bit of chicken. whereas Plooto is saving you, probably on average, they say it takes around 15 to 20 minutes to process a single invoice, right? So, 4 invoices, that's an hour. How much, if you are processing more than 4 invoices, I'm sorry, like 6 invoices, right? Like you're talking about, you're now making money with Plooto at $25, right? So for you, it's it's a no-brainer. What is your time worth? Is your minimum wage in Ontario right now, it's like $15, right? If you're spending an hour and a half on doing this type of work, then Plooto is a no-brainer for you. But I think the one thing that you mentioned that I thought it was very, very important is that what entrepreneurs need to realize is that you can't do everything yourself.
Absolutely.
Right? We get into this idea of, hey, I'm the CEO, I'm the co-founder, I need to do everything. I am responsible for everything. But the reality is, like, it's not, right? Like, you're not responsible for everything. You're just an employee of this organization. You might be the CEO or the founder, but at the same time, it's a team sport, and you need to have really, really good people around you to be able to take some of these responsibilities away from you so you can focus on what you do best, which is your craft. This is why, if you're an actor, you have an agent, you have a PR person, you have, a stylist, you have like think about artists. Artists are surrounded with people who take care of them. It's no different than being a shoemaker or making donuts or pizza. You are an artist, right? And artists need to be surrounded by people who have different skill sets, whether it is somebody who understands how to how to reconcile their accounts and give them the reports that they need, or if it's somebody to manage the customer complaints and emails and everything. You need to surround yourself, and Plooto is just another one of those tools that can help you succeed.
Yeah, I love it. A couple things that you'd mentioned. I think you started off saying that you'd spend like a day and a half dealing with banking, and so when we talk about time savings, I want to drill into that a little bit, but also this idea of I'll just share a little story about our journey. We originally, it was just me and George, and we were just going to be me and George, and we had our target salary, and we could do accounting, and that would be great. And I'm reasonably good at taxes. And eventually it went, oh man, my daughter's born here. 2017, the federal government sort of ripped the carpet out from us on a lot of the tax planning we'd been doing. And I can't take this anymore. I need some help. And so we started to hire people. But what I realized was I didn't hire people fast enough. If you've got a good business and you're committed to the model and you surround yourself with the right people to succeed, you will succeed, as long as you're doing the right things, the fundamentals. And a mentor of mine was sitting in our office a couple of years back, and they said, Clayton, you've got the tech stack dialed, you've got the processes dialed, you got the revenue model dialed. If I was the office managing partner of your firm, I'd hire 10 more people today. And that's the only thing. And I'm going, whoa, that's scary, because 10 people at, I don't know, $60,000 a year on average, maybe. So that's 600K. I don't even make 600K. Where's that money going to come from? And we have this sort of idea that if I go out and spend money on a salary, I'm going to lose that money right out of the gate. Or if I go and spend 25 bucks on Plooto, I'm going to lose that money. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. And I can say that now because we're 15 people and growing. We're hiring for positions all over the place right now. And I just want to hire more people, because every person that I hire, the bigger our business gets and the easier things get, because new ideas come to the table. And that sort of brings me back to another thing that you'd said is, listen, I handled the Steves, right? I handled the business end, and my partner was the coder. And that's another mistake that we need to get away from, is we're not, Hamed's not going out and learning how to code. Okay. Because I'm not good at that, that doesn't mean I'm going to go out and develop that skill. I'm going to hire to supplement what I'm missing, right? So really key, interesting points that just sort of churned up some memories for me. So thank you.
No, for sure. And I think that was one of the crucial learnings for me, because as an entrepreneur, we're also, first of all, before you become an entrepreneur, something has to be wrong with you already to want to go down this path of being an entrepreneur. Like you have to be a control freak. You gotta,
you gotta want to not take vacations for over a year.
Exactly. Like you can't take no for an answer. You're stubborn. You think differently, like than most people that you meet in your journey. So those are great things, because it allows you to take an idea and actually develop it. Whereas a lot of people who may not be entrepreneurs, and entrepreneur doesn't mean you start a business, right? Like you can be an entrepreneur within a larger organization. Absolutely. It's just the type of go-getting attitude that I describe as the entrepreneur. So it requires you to take this idea and make it happen. And for me, the biggest learning that I had was, I don't need to answer every email, be in every meeting, be in every department, speak to everybody. And I think that's something that I struggle still to this day. We're at like 90 people now, and I still struggle, because I want to know what's happening. I want to know, are we providing our customers the high value that we've promised them? Are we delivering on our promise every single day? And for me, the big change is what you're talking about, which is what are you trying to do? Are you trying to keep this as a hobby for you and make this a lifestyle business, or are you trying to build something bigger and deliver this value to more and more customers? And once I started to think like that, then I started to think about my expenses as investments and rate of return on my investments. And that allowed me to do what you're talking about, which is to go out there and spend this money and hire these 10 people, because I'm not thinking about the cost. Well, I mean, obviously I am thinking about the cost, but I'm also thinking about what is the rate of return on this investment. And then you understand that your job as a CEO, as a founder, as an entrepreneur is to be a really good steward of capital and be a good capital allocator, which is a different way of thinking about your role. But I guess that's the journey that you need to take in order to scale your business.
Okay, we got 7.5 minutes left, and I would like you to give us your elevator pitch on Plooto, and then I want to talk about some other initiatives that I noticed that you're into just from checking out your online presence. So elevator pitch on Plooto, go.
So Plooto, we are a payment automation platform for small to medium-sized businesses. We help them eliminate the inefficiencies and gaps that exist in their accounts payable and accounts receivable processes. And we help them automate and streamline that entire process so they can get access to their cash faster. And also keep their suppliers happy by paying them on time, and at the same time have all of that data reconcile automatically, so you don't have to do any manual paperwork or any manual handling of any of your records, because it's all automated.
When you talk about it's all automated, what platforms do you integrate with currently?
So we are currently fully integrated to the QuickBooks stack, so QuickBooks Online, Desktop, Enterprise, as well as Xero. With the new funding that we just announced, one of the key initiatives that we are embarking on is to integrate with larger accounting platforms such as Sage and Intact and NetSuite. So those are the ones that we're working on as well.
Awesome. In terms of initiatives, I notice you post a little bit about the FinTechs Canada initiative. Is that something you want to chat about? And then I wouldn't mind getting your thought on crypto. I'm glad as our director of marketing put it last week, or maybe it was earlier this week. He's like, I wish I'd have bought crypto, and then I'm glad I didn't, and then I wish I'd have bought crypto, and I'm glad I didn't. And where's this whole thing going? So I guess FinTechs Canada and then crypto, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. I actually have a really funny story on crypto, so I'll share that with you. So when it comes to FinTech Canada, we are at a really, really crucial time in the history of FinTech. All the payment technologies that exist in North America were really built in 70s, and they haven't been updated that many times since they were implemented. So a lot of issues you see today, we get a lot of customers who come to us and they're like, why is my payment not faster? Why can't I do instant payments? That's because none of the banks are doing instant payments. None of the banks are connected to one another. These are technologies from 70s trying to, just hold together by duct tape and
Is that out of fear? Is that out of fear that the security is not good enough, or is that just banks are slow to move?
No, it's just you're talking about this 800-pound gorilla, right? It's so tough to move anything, and it's just slow. And there's government and there's regulation and there's just so many different stakeholders that it's impossible to move any faster. Okay. So what we believe with FinTech Canada is that there's an opportunity to have a voice outside of the top banks. And that voice is really the voice of the up and coming FinTech leaders in the organization. We need to get together in the industry. We have to have a single voice together and really communicate that message to the government in terms of what is important to us. And so that way, that message is balanced, and it's not just the banks that are advocating to the government on what is important. So that's why I really, really feel we have a huge opportunity with what's happening in Canada and also in the US with payment innovation that's happening and all the revitalization that's happening. It gives us an opportunity to speak as one and make sure that our voices are heard.
Okay. Yeah, right on. And tell us your crypto story.
So Plooto actually started in 2015 as a Bitcoin blockchain company.
Really? I did not know that.
A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, okay. A lot of people didn't know that. For the first 6 to 9 months, we were like a fully crypto company. Our idea was to have a single wallet where you can have all of your cryptocurrency, which was ahead of its time back in the day. But what we really quickly realized is that our customers, who were small businesses, didn't care about crypto or blockchain at all. What the feedback we got in the first 6 months was, hey, I love all the features you've built, but can you like throw out this Bitcoin thing and just make it work with my bank? Yeah. So when we heard that from our customers, we pivoted in 2016. So Plooto, as you see today, is that first pivot that we made from 2015 to 2016. However, I did buy a couple of Bitcoin at $250 Canadian, which I feel like it's my best investment I've ever made. So some good came out of it. We didn't go on with that strategy, but at least we did buy a couple of Bitcoins. Yeah.
Where's it going? Is it on your radar? Is this? Are we going to see with the big collapse of the FTX, and is this going to still stay front of mind? Are we in a bit of a renaissance of fiat cash here?
So I tend to agree with Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, that the governments, especially in developed countries, I don't think that the governments are going to have a desire to let these cryptocurrencies to become the dominant method of transacting. I think that is something that we're going to see more and more regulation in this area, and the governments are going to clamp down, especially with what's happening with FTX, because a lot of people have lost money. So I think crypto is not going to be so much a method of transacting. It's going to be an asset, right? It's an asset class that you can exactly you can trade it like gold, like copper. To me, I look at crypto like very similar like that. However, exactly. It's an asset class that you can trade. But really, what I find interesting is the concept of international instant payments. To me, that is the genie out of the lamp, I guess. It's something we can't put back into the lamp. And I think, to me, the future of whatever it is it's going to turn into, whether it's blockchain or crypto, I think the technology is really interesting. The technology that will allow us to do international instant transfers across the globe is what I'm predicting is going to turn into. But Bitcoin or like all the Dogecoin and all of those, they're just, to me, they're just an asset class, and you can speculate on it. Nothing more than that.
Interesting. Is there anything else you want to talk about? We're at time.
No, this is great. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm super grateful to have caught up with you. We got Hamed Abbasi. Am I saying that right?
That's correct, yeah.
Super great to have caught up with you. It's Hamed Abbasi, co-founder and CEO of Plooto, a platform that we use for payments and collections. And you should check it out as well as an entrepreneur, small business owner. Thank you so much, Hamed.
Thank you for having me.